Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2019 TWitWoW Mock Superstar Shakeup. The actual Superstar Shakeup is days away. We are looking at 3 days until the Monday Night Raw half of the Shakeup, and of course then 4 days until the Smackdown half. And I gotta tell you guys, given how underwhelming, to be generous, this past week's Raw and SmackDown were, the post-WrestleMania editions of Raw and SmackDown, I am really hoping that we get some explosive moves on Raw and SmackDown this coming week to really kind of, I don't want to say fix, but to really kind of reinvigorate that sense of WWE might be good again that WrestleMania kind of sparked within us. So, John, we do have our own little Superstar Shakeup rosters already planned, but before we get into those, we do have quite a few acts that the WWE has been unable to make up their minds about that we are going to be discussing, who were originally meant to be NXT call-ups, but still haven't found a home brand. So before we get into any of that, John, I just want you to kind of tell everyone how you feel, how you're, what you're thinking about the shakeup, all that kind of stuff, any kind of thoughts that you have before we really get into the meat of this.
Oh, brother, I'm actually really excited for this installment because we've been doing this since 2017, because I actually went back and I looked at some of our other stuff, and I'm actually really proud of the lists I came up with. I feel like they were the perfect blend of like fantasy booking, but also keeping it grounded just enough where the feasibility remains intact. Yep. So I'm really excited that I hit that balance. You kind of told me what your scheme was, which I'm not going to repeat here because I don't want to like spoil or whatever, but I really like the scheme that you had for yours. This might be the best one that we've done. I know that that's like, I don't know, it's putting the hype up high early. That'll be for our fans to decide, but I'm feeling really good about this one, man, if I'm honest. And, This isn't really my forte, and you know that. So for me to say it, it goes a certain way. So
absolutely. I definitely am. I'm feeling the same way. It's weird because in previous years, I know I've always really kind of tried to focus on putting like the showmanship types on Raw and the wrestler types on SmackDown, but I took a very maybe somewhat similar, but also a completely different mindset as far as my approach this year. So very curious to see where you landed. But before we get into any of that, we have got a bunch of performers that are on the main roster but haven't found a home brand yet. We're going to go through. We're going to try and come up with consensuses, but if we can't, we'll just each have our own different opinions. So we've got Nikki Cross, Lacey Evans, Lars Sullivan, Heavy Machinery, EC3, and most recently, Aleister Black and Ricochet. So let's start with the women, Lacey Evans and Nikki Cross. Where do you want to stick these women, John?
I think Lacey for Raw and Nikki for SmackDown, personally.
Completely agree. 150% agree. Yeah, that's exactly what I would do as well. So that's an easy consensus. Heavy Machinery.
I feel like they do better on Raw because they're more of a personality team.
Yep. Agree again. EC3.
This might be controversial. I think he needs a fresh start, and I think SmackDown would be better for a fresh start.
Not controversial as far as I'm concerned. I completely agree. If I had to, I was even tempted to draft him to SmackDown in my Superstar Shakeup. I'm glad I didn't because of the fact that we're doing this. But yeah, I definitely think EC3 to SmackDown makes a lot of sense. So we'll agree on that as well. All right. What's next? Let's talk about Lars Sullivan. Are we going to agree that he's probably better off on Raw, or are we going to say that maybe he should go over to SmackDown?
You know what? I think SmackDown would be better for him right now.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, and based on my personal fantasy mock Superstar Shakeup, I am also wanting him on SmackDown. So we agree on that too.
Okay, awesome. All
right. So then let's see. We did EC3, Heavy Machinery, Lars, Nikki, Lacey. Who else was in that set of call-ups that I'm forgetting?
Nikki, Lacey, Heavy Machinery, EC3.
Lars, there was one other act. I thought. Forgetting.
Lars, EC3, Nikki Cross. Yeah, who was it? I'm trying to think. Well, we have Aleister and Ricochet, right?
But yeah, that's like the more recent set of call-ups, but there was another person, another act in that like original set of 6 call-ups, I thought.
I thought so too. Maybe not though. Let me see. Has our chat got anything? No. Maybe we did get everything, because I honestly can't, like, racking my brain. I'm like, I feel like we hit all the big ones outside of, again, the more recent ones that you just said. We'll get to that in a second. Because yeah, there was Lacey, Nikki, EC3, Heavy Machinery, which was like 5. Yeah, I can't figure it. Let me.
I hate it when this shit happens.
Let me YouTube.
I should have had this written down before we went live.
That's all right, man. Hey, this stuff happens. Let me see. I'm just gonna YouTube real quick. Let's see, no, it's just a Lacey Evans video.
No, I think we had everything. Damn. Okay.
I think we did. Yeah. I'm even looking now. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that we can move on. Aleister Black and Ricochet. What do you want to do with them?
Aleister on Raw, Ricochet on SmackDown.
Okay, I'm going to keep them both on Raw for me.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, I actually think that there's a lot more story to be told with them as a team, and eventually Aleister turning on Ricochet with them breaking up than them on separate brands.
Right. Okay.
So that's where I'm coming from. All right. So that's as far as the unassigned people. That's all we're going to be worrying about doing. That said, though, let's get into our actual mock shakeup, and we will start with SmackDown, and we will start with the least important people that you've got going to the SmackDown Live roster. So would you like to start this, or would you like me to start?
You can start, please, if that's not too much to ask. So.
All right. Interestingly enough, John, I think you're going to appreciate this, because the least important person that I've got going to SmackDown Live is still pretty damn impressive, and he actually made my Fave 5 yesterday, Chad Gable.
Nice, dude. Nice. I really like that.
We are splitting up the team of Rude and Gable. Rude can do his glorious thing on Raw if he wants, but Gable is going to go to SmackDown and compete for the mid-card title over there.
I just want to say that Gable also was like part of my shakeup from Raw to SmackDown. We'll get to that, though, I guess, in a little bit. Very cool, though, man, that you recognize him and you want him and Rude to split up and give him that singles run he deserves. I really love that.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely digging that.
All right. How about you? Who is your least important?
Last minute decision, because, you know, we had to work out some issues, as you know. But I have going to Raw, because I have this whole vision in my head now. Tyler Breeze.
Wait. Not going to Raw, going to SmackDown.
Oh, going to SmackDown. My number 10 going to SmackDown is Buddy Murphy.
Okay. Awesome.
So, yeah, I think because I think he's got a great look. I think he's a decent enough promo, and he can work fucking amazing in the ring. And especially given the other people that I have going to SmackDown, yeah, like he's going to fit right in with my scheme. I think Buddy Murphy, the juggernaut of SmackDown Live, sounds fucking great to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what, dude? I had Buddy Murphy originally at 8, but then I realized I could probably put him at 9 anyway, so that we can just kind of keep moving. I am also sending Buddy Murphy to SmackDown as well. So we both have Murphy going to SmackDown. It's interesting, too, because it's one of those things where, like, 205 Live performers are technically considered to be, like, Raw guys, but... yeah, like Murphy to me can be like a mid-card, upper mid-card, maybe even main event player on SmackDown. And if he really establishes himself there, I think that he can make a name for himself if he ever gets brought back over to Raw as well.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I see big things.
And hell, dude, here's the thing with SmackDown in October potentially wanting to look more and more like a sport. I mean, who better than basically WWE's answer to Kenny Omega to do that, to help do that?
Fuck yeah, dude. Absolutely. For sure. So, yeah, Buddy Murphy's my first big move to SmackDown. Who you got next, brother?
Well, I have Buddy Murphy also to SmackDown as my number 9. So who's your number 9?
Chad Gable. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we just had those flipped. That's awesome.
Yeah, the only reason I had Gable ranked higher was because he was a champion on one of the main programs. Him and Rude did have a tag title reign.
And I'll tell you what, dude, the reason I had Murphy ranked higher is because I just had bigger plans for him as far as what he's going to actually do on SmackDown. Like, I see Gable as kind of like a mechanic. Like, he's going to be like that really strong hand that, you know, puts on great matches every week, and he can cut fun promos. And maybe if he does get over, then obviously you would want to push him higher than that. But just kind of in the initial plans, I would want Gable to be like a steady mid-carder. Maybe he's the guy that people beat on their way to winning the Intercontinental title. Maybe he even wins an Intercontinental title or a mid-card title, whatever it happens to be at some point. But for now, Yeah, I think Murphy can be like a consistent upper mid card, maybe like challenge for the WWE title early and stuff. So,
damn, that's awesome, dude. All right,
yeah.
who you got? Who you got next?
My number 8. I think you're gonna appreciate this, and you probably also have her on your list, Kairi Sane.
I'm just gonna get ahead of it here since we're talking SmackDown. She was number 4 on my SmackDown list.
Yeah, see, I'm more judging it by like, like she held the NXT Women's title, dropped it quickly after, and she's been kind of built up as like she's never really been, I don't want to say the top guy or top girl, I guess, in the women's division, but like, yeah, she's never really been billed as like the feature of the NXT women's division. It's always been about either Shayna or Io or Bianca instead. So I didn't want to give her too much of a high billing, but I totally get why you do.
So moving it right along with me, because we talked about this, like we had 10 slots to work with. So by all accounts, I used up 2. So this is 8 and 7 because they're a team. My next shakeup is the Revival. I'm taking.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew you were going to do it.
I think given my scheme and given that I didn't touch some of the other acts there, even though I was tempted to, some of the other tag teams and shake them up to Raw, I'm already thinking about my big tag team program for the summer is Revival Usos in my fantasy booking. I mean, have them beat the Hardys, and then when they beat the past and solidify their greatness in the present, the Revival are still looking to make their future by almost returning to the past as that tag team style. I think you could tell some amazing stories. The Revival are definitely one of my bigger power plays in this thing for sure.
Yeah. Well, as far as power plays, I can't necessarily say that this next one is a power play, but this one is really more like for my soul and maybe even for her soul too, because she really needs to change the scenery more than anyone. Get away from Raw, get away from the potential, looming shadow of Ronda Rousey, even get away from Becky Lynch to some degree because she is like the top star, arguably in the entire company, especially if Lesnar's on his way out now. So even though Becky, I at least feel like has earned her spot at the top, there's still like that looming shadow of like good luck beating that top guy. So my number 7 over to SmackDown Live is Ember Moon.
Nice. I really like that move, dude.
I put her on the same on the same roster as Nikki Cross, on the same roster as Asuka. And hell, on the same roster as Kairi Sane now. There's a lot of work, a lot that she can work with. And I mean, unfortunately, also on the same roster as Charlotte until maybe you'll see. I might send Charlotte to Raw, or maybe I won't. Maybe she'll just be stuck on the same roster as her. But until then, yeah, I have Ember Moon coming over to SmackDown, getting that fresh start, and really, maybe, hopefully, getting more and more opportunities at actual in-ring time on SmackDown.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I love that play for her because she needs a reboot, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not necessarily that, like, oh, I think she's going to like dominate on SmackDown or become SmackDown Women's Champion. And it would be cool if she did, but I'm not saying that needs to happen. I just want a fresh start for her because it feels like stumbled out of the gate.
Dude, I got to be honest with you, and I know it was largely in part because of Ronda, and it's not like the first act that we've complained about with this, but the idea that she hasn't even like grazed that main spotlight as far as the championship goes, because they don't do feuds outside of the title for the women. So like it's either the championship or bust. The idea that she hasn't even had a championship story is a fucking joke. I mean, let's just call it what it is. So I love that you did that, man. Big ups to you from me. Curious what you'll think about my next few here, but one at a time. Number 6, Drew McIntyre to SmackDown.
Oh shit, number 6, dude. I have Drew going to SmackDown as my number 1.
Oh, dude, my number 1's a big one. That's why Drew. And yeah, again, it is some subjective stuff because I do have Drew ranked below some of these other people. But just to kind of defend myself for a second here, I think that's only because he's been handled so horribly on Raw that his stock has taken a hit. Like if it was the Drew McIntyre we saw from NXT and they built upon that on Raw, he'd be like a top 3 prospect. That's kind of why I have him going so low, but that's why I'm moving him at all. He needs to be rehabilitated. He needs to regain that status as a fucking
and dude, that's why I have him ranked so high for me, though, is because, like, I guess I haven't really said this out loud yet, but I really, like, my plan is basically to turn SmackDown Live into sort of a transitional developmental brand where people who are, like, too big of a fish for the NXT pond get moved up to SmackDown Live to just kind of figure out what their main roster role and character is and like get to that place where they're like that complete kind of polished, finished package, where that point, then they'd be ready for Raw, and you send them over to Raw and you hopefully score with them. Like you hopefully make a ton of money with them. So like you know, I'm sending Gable and Murphy over to SmackDown so that they can kind of get reinvigorated as like these mid-card workhorse types. I'm sending Kyrie and Ember over to SmackDown just because Kyrie, first of all, Kyrie versus Charlotte, you've already said it, it's a fucking money feud. Kyrie versus Asuka is the feud that we all want that we never got. Kyrie versus, I mean, even Ember. They're both getting called up, and I mentioned that Ember versus Kyrie would be really cool. That'd be awesome. We never really got that in NXT. So there are a lot of options for both of those women to do on SmackDown that they didn't have on Raw, because Raw, I mean, Ember or Sasha and Bayley are stuck in a tag team. And then Ruby is like, sure, she's by herself in some singles matches, but more often than not, it's the 3-on-3 stuff with her and the rest of the squad. So
Right.
really, you're on Raw and you're not working directly with the champion, in this case, Becky Lynch. I mean, you're probably just jobbing out to Alexa Bliss, and we don't want that for Ember or Kyrie. So
fuck no.
Really like in the place where I'm trying to reinvigorate the kind of exploratory feeling that first year or so of SmackDown had, where they were pushing Ziggler as a main eventer, and Dean Ambrose was this champion riding high, challenging John Cena, mouthing off to him, calling him out. And then like AJ Styles was really like, it really has kind of run the roost on SmackDown Live for the longest time, and like all that stuff. I want SmackDown to kind of return to that feeling where it feels like this experimental, you know, I mean, hell, I'll even use their words for it. They're the land of opportunity. I want that to be what SmackDown is. And that's why I have Drew as being such an important switch over to SmackDown, because I have Drew as initially maybe he's a heel, but I think that no later than like SummerSlam, I would want to turn him face and have him be the top face of SmackDown.
Yes, dude. Yes. Like,
yeah. So like, I frankly, like I even was talking to my mom earlier about all my plans here. I think that the perfect WWE Championship match for WrestleMania is another person that I'm calling up who we'll talk about versus Drew McIntyre.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, I love your vision for Drew. And again, why I put him on SmackDown, I just think he needs a reboot. I think Raw has grossly mishandled him. The idea that his first loss was to Dolph fucking Ziggler, who has had no credibility since what, like 2014? Maybe a bit later than that. You know, it's just kind of a joke. I do see a main event prospect in Drew. I see a top guy prospect in Drew, period. And it's just kind of emergency surgery, if you will. So, yeah, Drew to SmackDown for me, but I think the ball's back in your court. So what's your next shakeup?
Well, I think my next shakeup is a little bit, you know, on the impactful side, as far as like it's making a big splash because it's a champion moving brands. Finn Balor to SmackDown Live.
I also have that, dude. Finn was my number 3 power move. He was in my top 3 for me. Yeah, no, I
have Finn at number 5 or number 6, and you'll understand why Finn is down at number 6 once I tell you who I have at number 5. So you'll be like, oh, well, that makes sense. So yeah, Finn is my number 6, and it really is a situation where I think that with this new structure that I'm going with, I still want to kind of live by the old like SmackDown gets the wrestling, Raw gets the performance stuff.
Right.
I was even thinking like, let's move Elias over to SmackDown, and I just don't think he would fit. I think Elias is such a polished, finished product that he just makes more sense on Raw. Finn, though, Finn is polished. Finn is a finished product, but I think that if I had to choose between Samoa Joe or Finn Balor right now, who I think is more of a finished, polished, ready for Raw product, I'm going with Joe every time. So I mean, it's a spoiler, but you kind of already figured it out because we can't have 2 mid-card titles on the same brand. So I put Balor on SmackDown and switch Joe over to Raw, which makes even more sense because then Joe can continue the feud that was just started with Braun on Raw.
Okay, I feel a bit gun-shy given what you just said, but let me see if I can stand my ground here. My number 5 shakeup to SmackDown was Elias.
Oh, and dude, I mean, that's just my vision of SmackDown. It doesn't have to be unanimous.
Here's the thing, though, because I agree with your vision to a point, because, like, again, a lot of the shakeups I made, you know, Murphy, Gable, the Revival, it definitely conforms to your, like, SmackDown aesthetic as well, I would argue. But where I think Elias could thrive in that, especially with the Fox deal coming up, dude, if I'm being honest, again, much like Drew, I feel like Raw has grossly mishandled Elias, and given that the WWE title and I don't say this to diss Kofi or any prior WWE champion, in the WWE's eyes, the WWE title, for whatever reason, is not on the same level as the Universal title. I could see Elias as a top heel WWE champion on SmackDown. Because I would love this idea, right? Like, just hear my vision here. I would love this idea of like a show run by Fox Sports 1 that is supposed to have this like aura of legitimacy and this real like sports aesthetic and feel, having a world champion that puts on concerts and cares more about being an artist than a quote unquote athlete. Like, I find that contrast to be so full of possibility, especially when he's surviving the likes of, like, well, again, just to not give away any other draft pick, you know, a Finn Balor, for instance, if he wants to gun up. Maybe Gable gets, like, a unique opportunity, like at a pay-per-view, you know, stuff like that. I think there's possibility in that. I always love heels that, like, how do they say the fundamental rule goes? Like, everybody they face, they know they're the better wrestler. The heel is just, like, the smarter competitor. And that's how I would book Elias. You know, whether it's a cheap fucking guitar shot, a low blow, whatever, he always beats the better wrestlers until finally he doesn't. I think this dude in a sports kind of centered product could be an amazing heel that's just antithetical to all the values that kind of prop up the product. And yet it's really a bad thing because he's the world fucking champion.
Yeah, so, I really like that. I really like that vision, dude. I really like that.
So Elias is number 5. Because the idea that he's not a champion now is a fucking disgrace. And I do agree with you. He's so polished and so there, but I think he's gotten so polished to the point, and WWE has gotten so reliant on the gimmick to the point where I think some people have actually forgotten. I'm not saying you or anybody in particular, but I think some people have forgotten how good he is in the ring and how solid he is in the ring. And I think he's solid enough. He can have a WWE championship run and just be that guy that everybody's like, why is this guy that wears a kimono indoors like fucking world champion? Like, I want my MMA grapplers. I want this and that. And like, I can honestly say, if in fantasy booking, I would have, and I'm not saying I'm doing this now, so it's not a spoiler, but if I would have, say in 2020, like a Matt Riddle come up, like he would obliterate Elias to a huge fucking pop. Like, that's just the kind of heel I see him being. So I just want to justify my choice. Cause like,
dude, I love it. That's perfect. And especially if they really start even like acknowledging like the honor of the sport and kind of shit on SmackDown because of the Fox Sports 1 deal. I mean, Elias being the kind of antithesis to that would be amazing. And then Riddle as a literal, legit former MMA guy would be the perfect. I mean, Elias would be the perfect first opponent for him on the main roster if that was the case.
Fuck yeah, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
I love that. That's a great call, dude. I love that. Yeah. See, you don't need to be gun shy. You just have to explain why what your reasoning is. And it's fucking brilliant.
I fucking love it, man. Let's keep this going. I'm feeling it now. Let's keep it going. So,
you think you're feeling it now? Are you ready for my next call up?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Yeah, and I use those words literally.
Oh shit! All right, what we got?
Did you hear it?
No.
Oh fuck. Well, I guess I should turn it up then.
Oh shit! Heard it that time.
Undisputed Era to SmackDown, baby. All 4. I've got all 4 members of the Undisputed Era going to SmackDown Live. And I'll tell you what, brother, let me just lay it out for you. Adam Cole, Bay versus Kofi Kingston. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish versus the Hardy Boys. And Roderick Strong versus Finn Balor.
Holy fuck.
They're going after all the titles immediately. And this is what I was saying for my WWE Championship WrestleMania match next year. Adam Cole as defending WWE Champion versus Drew McIntyre as a babyface.
Yes. Yes. The match that I think everybody wanted ever since Cole attacked McIntyre at the end of that one takeover. You come full fucking circle for a WrestleMania match. Dude, I fucking love everything you just said. Your booking, sir, is undisputed. Holy shit.
Well, dude, here's the thing, though. That's all I've got left because that's my numbers 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, or my 5, 4, 3, and 2 because it's 4 guys, and you guys already know my number 1 was Drew, so my list is already completely unloaded. So we just got to know who you're calling up at numbers 2 and number 1.
Right, because you guys already know Kyrie saying it 4. My Twitter pretty much gives all the justification for this. I want Kyrie Mania. I want Kyrie versus Charlotte at the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Yep.
All that stuff. So you guys already know Finn. bringing the Intercontinental title with him, great workhorse, all that stuff. I'm actually excited for my number 2 and number 1, and especially my number 2, given that they have made fucking waves today. I'm shaking up Sasha Banks to SmackDown.
Oh, wow. Okay. Dude, I got to tell you, I'll tell you why I didn't do this. Because Becky and Bayley then would both be on Raw, and like I want Sasha to be with her fucking friends, so like she'd be stuck on a brand with fucking Charlotte.
That is true. That is true. I just want Sasha, because here's the thing about that though. Here's both the downside and the good side. The downside is twofold. Sasha's away from her friends, but when she's with her friends, I don't think WWE really knows how to use that. I think they've already proven that they don't really know how to use that so effectively. I want to give Sasha some fucking breathing room here. I want her, see my vision here, because she's so disgruntled, I want to take the leash off of Sasha Banks. I want her to own the fucking brand that she's on. And we can say that because we're fantasy booking, so we're not paying mind to like nepotism or any of that crap. I would want her to own SmackDown. And for me, it's kind of a personal thing because she's wanted to be on SmackDown for a while, at least when one of the first shakeups happened. Eddie, her fucking hero, made SmackDown what it is today. He was very foundational in making SmackDown what it is today all those years ago. And then it's kind of her turn to make her mark. I think it'd be fucking great for her. And as a heel, are you kidding me? I even tweeted today, like after Kyrie Mania or maybe even before, I don't fucking know. But when Kyrie is the SmackDown Women's Champion, because if you don't think that's in my fantasy booking, you're kidding yourself. I would do a huge program with her and heel fucking Sasha, and they would make money, fucking money. And I'm printing it with the biggest fucking smile on my face. But the number 1 pick, this is where it gets crazy, because the number 1 shakeup I have going to SmackDown is Roman Reigns.
I knew it. I knew you would put either him or Seth on SmackDown.
Roman fucking Reigns. I can tell you,
man. I'll tell you what, though, man. I'll tell you what. I don't want you to spoil it. I don't want you to react. I don't want you to give us a yes or a no. But if you're keeping the Usos on SmackDown, I want that heel faction.
And I think you'd get it. Honestly, I absolutely think, you would get it. If that's the case, we shall see. But I do think Roman on SmackDown, especially with the Fox deal, look, they're going to want guys that make a lot of noise. Roman is still getting reactions. They're starting to become boos again, but they are loud reactions. Fox is going to want to get on that. Plus, here's the thing, too. This is the one pick where I'm also thinking maybe a bit too much one could critique from a business perspective, because if SmackDown is under Fox Sports 1, and we are talking about SmackDown being advertised during NFL games and this and that, whose face do you want on the fucking graphic? Like, that's why I think New Japan is so smart, right? Even though they infuriate me sometimes with their reliance on Okada, I get it. Dude's a handsome motherfucker. He has an aesthetic you could put on magazines for days. And with Roman, you could easily see him put on a graphic doing his, like, Superman punch pose, like in the middle of a fucking Broncos-Packers game or some shit. Oh, catch SmackDown right after this, and it's Roman doing the Superman punch power-up. Yeah. You know, it fucking works. He's the guy for a reason, because whether you like him in ring or this, that, or the other, which I'm not looking to unpack any of that, he has the aesthetic of a top guy, and he still does. And I would milk that shit.
Yeah, dude, and that's the thing, too, is like if this was meant to be like a predictive shakeup, I would have definitely sent Roman to SmackDown, too, because I think it's happening. I think that's a legit thing that's going to happen next week for sure.
And see, to me, dude, I agree with you. This is, again, an aspect that is more predictive, but where I think it becomes fantasy, at least in my mind, Roman's kind of my Trojan horse. I lead you in with Roman, but I'm hoping to keep you with the wrestling of the likes of Sasha and Finn and others.
Right.
So, yeah, he's the lore. He's the lore. And, yeah, that's why he's the number 1 guy, because it's Roman fucking Reigns. So that rounds out my – he's the bait, exactly. So that's my SmackDown shakeup list. And, again, compared to prior years, I am very proud of this one. So
no, I love it, dude. You realize we have five acts in common. We have Buddy Murphy, Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre, Kyrie, and Finn. Both of us have all 5 of those going to SmackDown.
That's crazy that we're that synced up that way. Because here's the thing, folks. We didn't show each other our lists. There wasn't any comparing. Ashton didn't help me out. I never helped this motherfucker out with his fantasy booking. So, yeah, there was, like, no comparison, anything like that. This just all came from the synergy. And can I say, too, just as, like, Actually, no. You know what? I'll save it. Because we're getting into Raw in a few moments. So, but is there anything else you want to say on your SmackDown side? Because I know you cleared your list.
No, I don't think so. I'm really excited about the potential for a Drew McIntyre versus Adam Cole WrestleMania match next year. And right now, I mean, the thing is, it could happen. It doesn't have to happen on SmackDown even. It could just happen on Raw. They could just have Drew not get shaken up and have Undisputed Era debut on Raw instead of SmackDown, and I would, not bat an eye at it. I just think that it makes more sense on SmackDown because of the fact that Drew needs this refresh more than any. Like, Drew on Raw is just totally lost in the shuffle, unfortunately, and he deserves better, and I want him to get more of an opportunity, and I think SmackDown is the way to do that. They could literally just replicate the gender push without the cheating, and Drew would make it to the top and be an instant star.
Absolutely, man, for sure.
All right, man, it's time for us to move on to Raw, and I guess I'll go first. I think I went first for SmackDown, actually. So if you want to go first for Raw, you can. If you'd rather I just go first since you've done the last two, it's whatever.
I'll go first.
Okay.
My number 10 guy going to Raw is Tyler Breeze.
Oh, wait, he's already on Raw.
Wait, no, I looked at the rosters. The Fashion Police should be a SmackDown team.
No, dude, Breeze and Fandango are Raw guys still already.
Are you? Wait a minute. Let me just double check. God damn it, I think you're right. Son of a bitch. Because I thought I saw one of the Fashion Police on SmackDown. Fuck.
Yeah, Tyler Breeze is a Raw guy still.
Shit. Damn. You know what, then? I will do fucking Luke Harper to Raw.
Okay.
And I'll just do that instead. Because, yeah, that was a guy that I was keeping in my back pocket. Luke Harper, great in-ring guy. I actually think, too, that he has a great personality. Like, his babyface run, I think they quit on that way too soon. I'd like to see how he could do as a babyface character. Because I think he's got, like, an understated character aspect to him, like an understated character performer dimension to him,
yeah,
rather than just the in-ring stuff. I'd like to explore that. Kind of a shame that my Fashion Police, I should have looked at that a bit more carefully. That's on me. Got busted open because I was actually going to talk about hoping to give Fandango a big singles push on SmackDown, which I guess I could still do, but him and Tyler Breeze would just have to share the brand. But yeah, Luke Harper, I think, could do well on Raw. And given who else I have shaken up to Raw, you know what? There's possibility here. There's definitely possibility for Harper, so I don't think it's the worst move. And yeah, I think mid-Carter, maybe even a flirtation with the Universal Championship, not necessarily winning it, but competing for it. You know, having that sympathetic underdog story. I've been in the business so many years. This is my one shot. I think you could get a lot of mileage out of Harper on Monday Night Raw. So I'm just gonna go with him for my number 10. So,
all right. Yeah,
what about you, man?
That's fine. I'm not complaining one bit. I'll tell you what, though, I don't break out theme music for just anyone, but I think that your reaction will be enough to this that it's worth playing. All right.
All right, keep it in your out.
Number 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's right. Bianca Belair to the Monday Night Raw Women's Division. And I'll tell you what, man, this is a big reason I kept Sasha on Raw and I kept Bayley on Raw and that kind of stuff, is because I want them to be able to work with her and show her the ropes and get her where she needs to be in the ring that obviously isn't happening in NXT. So I've got Bianca, who is at the point that she is a complete performer. She's good enough in the ring that she's not going to botch. She's good on the mic. She's got the ridiculous athleticism and strength to do these crazy feats that would shock these bigger audiences on Raw. I think she's perfect for Monday Night Raw personally. So I've got Bianca going to Raw, and I don't know if she would be competing for the women's title early, but I do know that she would definitely make it there eventually.
Yeah, man, for sure. I love it. All right, moving right along. I like the pacing that we've got with this too, since it's not as much a clusterfuck as prior years, since I actually know what's going on. Number 9, shaking up. It's nice when I understand things. Number 9 being shaken up to Raw, Sheamus.
Oh, dude, same. I've got him at number 8, actually. Yeah, I'm sending Sheamus over as well, so we can keep Cesaro on SmackDown and split those fucked up.
Oh, dude, push Cesaro hard as fuck on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And Sheamus, you know, honestly, dude, Sheamus to me would be a solid, I guess, mid-card heel champion, whatever, kind of a bully mid-carder. And even as like a transitional main event obstacle, like maybe the Universal Champion just needs a feud to get over the hump of like a third-rate pay-per-view. That's where you call upon Sheamus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really don't have.
Yeah, I think Sheamus is kind of in that point too, where I almost want him to get like a Mark Henry run, man. I almost want them to just kind of give him like a 3 to 4, maybe 5 month run with a top title and a brand, and just let him be the biggest dickhead in the world and just dominate people in the ring, man. Like he's, I don't know how much longer he's going to be in the business. I think he's in his 40s already. Like he is on the older side, and he's been doing not much at all with Cesaro at the bar. They have plenty of matches, but none of them stand out anymore because they all just kind of blend together. Cesaro is the standout as far as like who I want to be like a main event type of guy, but you put Sheamus on Raw, you let him do a little bit more cheaty shit, you let him get away with some dirty tactics, you let him do some, cut some shitty promos and tell people that he's better than them and all that shit. I think Sheamus as a potential even main event player could work on Raw right now.
Yeah, completely agree.
And really, since I have Drew coming over to SmackDown, Sheamus fits right into that slot too.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So that was my pick there. Who's your next shakeup, brother?
Number 9 for me is Ali.
Interesting. I was wondering what I wanted to do with him, and so I just kept him put. But what's your scheme for him on Raw?
Well, the reason that I want him on Raw is mostly because he is a complete performer. Again, I'm taking the polished, finished products, and I'm trying to make sure that they're on Raw so that they can get the most exposure possible. And Ali is another guy similar to Bianca, where some of the stuff that he does is absolutely ridiculous, and I want to get it in front of as many eyes as possible. And oh, by the way, he can fucking talk too. Like, he's a great promo.
He is, yeah.
And they can bring his promo style to Raw, which is more of that cinematic, like filmed in the streets kind of thing that I think they would love on Raw. So I think Ali is a great fit for the Raw mid card. And by the way, since you already know that I'm bringing Samoa Joe over to Raw, Joe and Ali have a built-in feud that they can resume once if Joe gets past Braun.
Right. Yeah. Great point, man. Great fucking point. Number 8 for me. Don't know how this is gonna fly with some people. I've got Randy Orton going to Raw.
That's like the ultimate. Like, I was even talking to my mom earlier, and it's just like, what's gonna really suck is when they're building up, like, oh, here's the next person to go to SmackDown, and it's just fucking Ziggler. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be a dud in there, sure.
Randy Orton and Dolph Ziggler have become effectively like interchangeable. Like, Orton's matches are more boring, but like he has got like a better upside in the sense that like when he tries, he can be more entertaining. Ziggler is going to be like more consistently somewhat entertaining, but all of his matches just feel the same. And like, I don't know, man. It's like they're just both in that limbo of I just don't care. They should leave and go somewhere else to get more interesting.
Admittedly, I am too. I think this is more just about like getting Orton somewhere else. I kind of wanted him off of my version of SmackDown. I felt like he didn't really contribute.
So this was less of like, I think Orton can do well on Raw, and more just like I want SmackDown to be really good, and Orton being on it can't let it be good.
Yeah, well, that, and I look at Orton as strictly at this stage of his career as strictly a utility player. Like, yeah, an attraction, a utility player in the sense of like, hey, Randy, I need this guy to get made. You're a multi-time world champion and main eventer. You can do that. So go make this guy, and he does. So I don't even really know necessarily what big feuds I would have for Orton out of the gate. Even just looking at like this shakeup list, maybe he would do a program with a Braun or whatever. Since you guys know that I didn't shake him up to SmackDown, I can speak about that. Maybe I'd have him do something else, but Orton would just be kind of there. Maybe again as an obstacle for a babyface Universal Champion, because again of the credentials and the RKO out of nowhere. So like he's a guy to me that like moves tickets, pushes tickets, gets people over. I don't really see him winning any more world titles at this stage of his career. Certainly not on my fucking brand, on my fucking watch. But he'll legitimize other world champions that are kind of cementing their legacy at this point. So yeah, number 8 simply because of his higher profile, but no real big plans for Randy Orton here.
That Randy Orton is like, he's a great legitimizer, and he's very much like that attraction type where if you just want to put asses in seats, put Orton's name on the marquee and they'll show up kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Exactly.
All right. Well, As far as because you already know my number 8 is Sheamus. My number 7 though is also my number 6 because I'm bringing over the Usos.
Dude, I love it. Great, great.
Dude, here's
there.
the thing: the Raw tag division needs help, and like right now, it's just Ryder and Hawkins. But if you remember, I kept the Revival on Raw, so the Revival are there, Ryder and Hawkins, and then we've also got to take some of like the lesser used team. Like, guess what? The Fashion Police are on Raw, and Fandango will be getting back healthy this year, so that's another team right there. AOP, one of those guys has been hurt. He'll be coming back at some point. Plus, now you add the Usos to that, and all of a sudden, Raw's tag team division goes from absolute joke to, you know, maybe watchable at least.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I completely understand that reasoning, and yeah, I can absolutely support that. I think the Usos are like one of the best tag teams in the game right now, especially by WWE standards. I think them on Raw could hold a lot of promise if handled well, and I would certainly trust you to handle them well. So that's good shit, man.
All right, who's your number 7, my dude?
Number 7, the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe.
All right, and you guys already know I have Joe going to Raw as well. He was my number 4, though, just because like he's the U.S. champion, so he's kind of important.
Absolutely, and yeah, that's why I have him ranked above like the prior 3 people because he does hold the title, but less than the remaining people because I think his prestige isn't as high as these other acts personally. Right. But yeah, Joe's an amazing talker. Like, just to give you kind of a template of how I would use Joe on Raw, just think of his Universal title feud with Brock Lesnar. Like, great fucking promo, knows how to sell a fight.
And that was on Raw, so that's like a perfect example.
Exactly. I'd probably have him win more than he has, you know, in his prior Raw run. But yeah, I mean, he's 39. He's getting up there. And especially because he's not like, I won't say he's like a completely unhealthy 39, but he has had some injuries. He's used up his bump card a little bit.
Yeah.
But I still think he can talk people into the fucking building. He's still got presence. And honestly, I think I would, if we're talking about company loyalty and rewarding people, the idea that Joe has like worked through injuries, finally made it to a Mania this year and stuff, I would reward him with a Universal title run down the road. And I think he'd be a great heel champion for a brief time. I think I could get like a 4 to 5 month reign out of him. So yeah, Joe, I think is a huge player, and that's why I ranked a bit higher on my list. But I think when you see the other people on my list, at least shaking up to Raw, you'll understand why he was kind of middle of the pack here. So
yeah, I totally get it, man. I totally get it. All right, well, I think for my last 4 SmackDown Live conversions, I am going to be using the theme song thing just to kind of introduce them because they're all kind of big deals. So,
sure.
You know, you already know I've got the Usos. That was my 7 and 6. So the only, you know, and you also already know my number 4, but my number 5.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Let's get this flamboyant son of a bitch in front of a big old crowd, right?
Dude, you know what's funny is like earlier in the day when I was composing my list, because I don't know how many like deletions or redactions like you committed to on your list because I had quite a few. I had him shaking up to Raw, but I got cold feet at the last minute. I'm actually really glad that you just.
Well, I'll tell you why though. The biggest reason why is because I wanted to break up the team of him and Rusev, and like I just feel like Nakamura fits so much better on Raw because I like Rusev as a part of SmackDown, and then we can keep Lana on SmackDown, and she can be a part of like the SmackDown Women's division, and the SmackDown Women's division is a little bit more shallow than the Raw's Women's division. And then like Rusev could compete as like a mid-card, upper mid-card kind of guy like he's been with Lana at his side. And like, I just feel like Nakamura on Raw is also something that we haven't seen yet. Nakamura debuted on SmackDown. He's been on SmackDown ever since. I want to see if the Raw writers get struck by inspiration when they see his entrance.
Yeah, dude, that's a great point. And you know what I like about your pick too to get Nakamura on Raw? Like, for me, if he were to leave and go back to New Japan tomorrow, personally, I'd be happy for Nak because we both know how good he is. But as a fan and as somebody that's watched the WWE for nearly 2 decades, I would always wonder, like, what could have been if they actually cared enough. And I feel like on Raw, you kind of give him that reset to really find out because him versus the Universal Champion, you know, whoever you would have that, like, on your side of things, and I have a few ideas that I'm not going to say aloud here. That's like fucking money to me. So, yeah, I think not getting separated from Rusev would be a great thing, especially for him, because we know what he's capable of when the leash is off. and we need to yank it the fuck off because I think it could make everybody a shit ton of money. So great job, man. Great fucking job.
All right, man. So now who is your number 6?
Well, this is actually taking up 4 slots, so 6 through 3. Undisputed Era going to Raw. Yeah, you know, I just think I've said it before. I proudly stand by it. Adam Cole, I want everybody to listen to me now because I know I'm new-ish to the cult. I had to, you know, get my membership card reactivated after some time. Adam Cole is a future future WrestleMania main eventer. Like, that's his destiny. That's where he belongs. That's home to Adam Cole, is being a top guy. And Raw is where the top guys play. Adam doesn't need to jump through hoops. As far as I'm concerned, they should like have a chair reserved for Adam Cole on the fucking roster with how good he is. The dude's amazing. Personally, and this is where I'm kind of conflicted, you know how much I love O'Reilly and Strong as a tag team. So maybe I would even have O'Reilly, Strong, and Fish kind of freebird the tag titles and then maybe still have Roddy go after mid-card stuff. Just so that, you know, we get to still see O'Reilly and Strong working together, and I love them together. And then you get the classic Red Dragon. But yeah, Cole, I have him winning that Universal fucking title in no time. It'd be the best thing to ever happen to that fruit roll-up is Adam Cole's existence. And yeah, they're just running shit, man. They are the show on Monday Night Raw. You know how Brock Lesnar is a heel tactic? Once had Monday Night Raw starring Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I would fucking do that for Cole. Monday Night Raw starring Undisputed Era, and then when there's tension, we could just change it to starring Adam Cole when he goes solo.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Give him all the fucking things, and if anybody has a problem with it, well, there's a pink slip, because like I'm putting all my fucking money on Adam Cole, because to be as young as he is and to get the business as well as he does, like that's a guy I'm building my brand around for the next 5 years, if not more.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, all 4 members of the Undisputed Era on Raw, and of course, naturally, our main event of Money in the Bank would be Adam Cole versus Seth Rollins, and Adam Cole would just fucking take the title off him in his first try, because who needs help, or really, who needs multiple chances when you're that damn good?
Exactly. That's why Adam Cole just doesn't understand the plight of society. Oh, if I just got an opportunity. Oh, wait, you mean you squandered your first one? I don't know what that's like. Shut up, Johnny Gargano. But yeah, Undisputed Era, going to be running shit. So who's next for you, man?
Well, I mean, you guys already know, actually, that number 4 for me number 4 for me was Samoa Joe, right? So I already kind of made that clear, because I want to switch the mid-card titles, because again, Intercontinental title is more like, represents to me more of like the pure wrestlers and like the, you know, the mechanics and like the workhorses and stuff, which I want more to be represented on SmackDown. And then the US title is more representative, at least to me, of like, you know, like the over the top characters and like the, you know, like the foreign heels and the patriotic baby faces and stuff like that. So Samoa Joe is number 4 for me, and he's going to Raw. Number 3, though.
I knew you would.
I'm sending the phenomenal one over to Monday Night Raw, because the house that he built has apparently been taken over by Randall Keith Orton.
Yeah.
I know Styles won at WrestleMania, but you know, we'll just kind of go with the whole idea that Orton exposed him for not actually having built SmackDown, and he gets sent to Raw instead. Plus, really, I just feel like Raw needs guys like Styles. They need guys who are pretty much over no matter what. They'll pull a good match out of pretty much anyone. They can always fill like a 5-minute promo slot. Like it's just a guy that can do anything and does everything well. So that's something that Raw, like, it's that entertainment factor that I feel like Raw has severely lacked this past year. So AJ Styles to Raw is my number 3. And if he's my number 3, I mean, who the hell are going to be my top 2, right?
Dude, absolutely. I actually love that you did this, because the reason why I didn't, because you noticed the absence of AJ, and I'm just going to say right now, I didn't shake him up to Raw. I kept him on SmackDown. I look at him now in this era as what Undertaker was to SmackDown in like the Ruthless Aggression era, like that mainstay, that guy that you associate with like the blue brand isn't a fucking joke, because we've got AJ Styles.
That perfectly makes sense to me.
I do like that you did it though, because here's the thing, and this might be an unpopular opinion. I actually liked AJ's first Raw run. Like I feel like Y2 AJ was a fun program. Their tag match that they had with New Day for the tag titles was fucking amazing. I didn't care for how the Roman AJ feud was booked in some parts, but I felt like the matches always delivered. Like I actually liked what AJ did on Raw. I'd like to see him get another stab at it. So that's actually why I'm glad ultimately that you are the one that flipped the coin and you're like, oh, let's really make this a shakeup. Let's put AJ on the red brand. So good shit, man. For me, and I'm guessing I don't know what you're doing. For me, number 2, Daniel Bryan to Raw, because we talked a lot about this, you and I, and you know how like excited we got at the possibility of Bryan now that like he's no longer WWE champion, potentially going after the Universal title and spreading his message to the entire universe. It just seems fucking crazy to me. Him having matches with like Seth Rollins and who else do I have on this list here? You know, Samoa Joe. If Joe would ever become like a babyface that just wanted to shut Bryan up, like it would be a better version of the Bryan Big Show feud, because Joe actually like has that charisma and he's a great fucking talker. You know, no disrespect to Big Show, but it would just work. Yeah.
I just want to just kind of butt in here and say, yeah, Bryan is my number 2 as well. And frankly, I have him immediately going after Seth and winning the title from him. Universal title, we're going to get him and belt. Like we're going all the way.
Oh yeah, we're fucking doing it.
Bryan's the best act going right now in WWE.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. No disputations here. I would even have like Harper. Again, when I talk about like that brush, like this is my one shot, who better as a fucking champion to do that with how selfless he is and how beatable he is than fucking Bryan? Like you give me Bryan versus Harper for the Universal title, I believe it, because of Bryan's like prior booking. So yeah, this guy's a.
And I do want to add, Rowan and Bryan are kind of a package deal. So Rowan would follow Bryan to Raw.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you. Absolutely, it completes the act. He's a 5-tool player. I honestly think, because I would often hear like as a heel how great he would make his opponents look until it was like championship time and he would come and he would win. I think Daniel Bryan is like the Ric Flair of his era, because what he gives to baby faces and then how he shines in the main event is perfect. Like I even said earlier, who did I say this about? Adam Cole. I said Adam Cole was a guy that you'd build a company around. If we didn't do all this fuck shit with like Bryan's forced retirement and everything, and he still happened to this gimmick maybe even earlier than what he did, like I would have gotten however many years he wants to go, I would have built them around Bryan too. Bryan is that type of guy that you build a fucking brand around. So yeah, I love that he was both of our number 2. Should I just go straight to my number 1 then, or do you want to give your number 1 first?
I think we might even have the same number 1, dude.
Okay, play the music then. Let's find out. Yep, same number 1.
Yeah, I thought so. I figured because like it's like the one person that's been kind of going back and forth and is still technically SmackDown, but like we all know where she's actually gonna go.
I think again when we're talking,
SmackDown is gonna be Charlotte's land from now on. And as much as I hate that, I'm not gonna deny the truth. And like WWE is so dead set on Charlotte ruling a women's division by herself. They're gonna keep her and Becky separate, and the odds of redheaded, fiery Becky Lynch ending up on the blue brand with Charlotte coming back to Raw are pretty low.
I agree with that reasoning 1,000%. For me, it was twofold. One a bit weaker than the other, admittedly. For one, it was more personal preference because I feel like she's done everything she can on SmackDown. And she's never really had a serious run with the Raw Women's Championship. I like that she's finally getting one. Like this is her first run with that title. So that's really cool. And then just on another front, like, if we're talking about characters as opposed to like really solid in-ring workers, which I'm not saying Lynch isn't, you know, I do enjoy her in ring, especially when she gets somebody that can really bring that out of her. Like I feel like Asuka did at Rumble this year. Yeah. She still has like just the best character in the company in the sense of like, look at the merch she's moving, look at the tickets, look at the hype, look at the mainstream sources that are talking about her the way that they're talking about her. You want somebody like that on Raw. Now, you could easily make, given that SmackDown's going to Fox Sports 1, you could easily make, if somebody was to say to me, oh, John, I have Becky just, you know, staying on SmackDown, being that guy there. I totally get that too, because, you know, they're going to want to push that. But Raw, if Vince is always going to see it as the flagship, you want the person that's really got their finger on the pulse, and that's fucking Becky Lynch right now. Like, this is her era. And that era, I think, is going to be milked for all it's worth on Monday Night Raw. That's why she was my number one. I think you pretty much share similar sentiments as me here. Is that safe to say?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we were both again. It's amazing to me. It's amazing. I don't know if in 2018 or 2017, you and I had as much similarities between our lists as we did this year. Because I think there was more variance among the Raw lists. But still,
yeah, dude. I mean, here's the thing. The biggest difference this year was that we had the Undisputed Era going to different brands because you had them on Raw and I've got them on SmackDown. That's the biggest difference. And like, we've got to take into account that takes up 4 slots on whichever brand they go to. So immediately we are only possibly going to have 6 agreements on those lists, you know?
Exactly.
So that really immediately hindered. And the thing is, like, outside of the Undisputed Era, we agreed on 5 out of a possible 6 people on SmackDown and 4 out of a possible 6 people on Raw. So outside of the Undisputed Era, we agreed on a vast majority of the people that we were transferring from one brand to another.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. Yeah, I love it though. That definitely makes me, just feel more.
Because we agree on Becky, we agree on Bryan, we agree on Joe, and we agree on Sheamus. Those are the 4 on Raw. And then for SmackDown, it's Drew, Finn, Kyrie, Buddy, and Gable.
Yeah. Yeah. I love your shakeup lists. I'm, again, very proud of mine. I feel like I did better than both 2017 and 2018 put together.
I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, here's the crazy thing, too. What I really want us to do before we close out of here, I really want us to just kind of recap what our new rosters look like and like go through and be like, okay, well, here's what my SmackDown women's division would look like for now, where I would go with it, and then tag division, and then like, mid card, and then main event kind of thing. I think we should do that before we close out.
Absolutely. So just to recap my list, I have going to SmackDown, Buddy Murphy, Chad Gable, The Revival, Drew McIntyre, Elias, Kairi Sane, Finn Balor, Sasha Banks, and Roman Reigns is my number 1 guy that we build the brand around, with it being on Fox Sports 1.
Right.
So, do you want to go down? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, my SmackDown, the people that I've got going to SmackDown are Chad Gable, Buddy Murphy, Kairi Sane, Ember Moon, Finn Balor, the Undisputed Era, and Drew McIntyre. So again, we agree on everything. But our difference is I have Undisputed Era and Ember, and then you've got Roman and Sasha and Elias and the Revival.
Yes. My shakeups to Raw, coming in at number 10, Luke Harper, then Sheamus, then Randy Orton, then Samoa Joe. Slots 6 through 3 go to the entire Undisputed Era faction. So
all 4 of them, baby. Yeah.
Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. Number 2, Daniel Bryan. And number 1, Becky Lynch.
Yep. And for me, from 10 to 1, I've got Bianca Belair, Ali, Sheamus, the Usos going to Raw, Shinsuke Nakamura, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, and Becky Lynch. Man, I completely upended the main event scene of SmackDown Live, but I think it's for the better. And let's kind of get in. Let's start with the women. So your women's division right now on SmackDown. You didn't move Charlotte. She's still there. You moved Becky. Becky is the only woman that you moved from SmackDown to Raw. So you've got Charlotte, you've got Sasha at the top. Those are like the 2 like obvious main event types. Then Asuka and Kairi. Who else would you feature on your SmackDown Live women's division? Like Carmella, maybe?
Carmella maybe is like an undercarder. I would definitely be all over it. Yeah, Naomi, I would actually give another run, but she would be that sympathetic babyface that would get steamrolled maybe by like a heel Sasha or even a heel Asuka, that just gets tired of kind of floundering. But yeah, my core 4, Asuka, Kairi, Sasha, Charlotte, because I'm definitely getting all in on that Asuka Sasha feud. Kairi, Charlotte, I want that, and then you could kind of alternate. You can have Sasha and Charlotte feud again. And then you could have Kairi and Asuka feud for the first time. Since a lot of people first theorized that Kairi would end the streak, now we get to find out what would have happened if these 2 had actually, collided. So definitely, like, those 4 people. That's my 4 horsewomen for my personal women's division on SmackDown. So
what was it? What is it? Did it end up being Sasha, Kairi, Charlotte, Asuka, right?
Asuka, yes.
Okay, yeah. See, and mine would be Asuka, Charlotte, Kairi, Ember. I would basically, the really biggest difference between us is that you use Sasha, I use Ember, because I want to make Sasha happy. I want Sasha to be on the same brand as both Becky and Bailey, so that it's like her closest friends are right there with her, and that might encourage her to stick around. And by the way, if she decides to leave, Bianca Belair is waiting in the wings to take that spot.
Absolutely, for sure, man.
So I don't want to say that like I built my Raw women's division around Sasha or anything, because I really didn't, but I definitely really kind of tried to keep her situation in mind with the moves that I made. So I didn't want to move her or Bayley or even both of them over to SmackDown, because is some evidence out there, mostly in Charlotte's book, that Sasha doesn't really like how successful Charlotte is relative to her talent level and her overness and stuff. So I want to try and keep them separate as much as I can. And then like, there's also a lot of evidence that Becky and Bayley are like legitimate besties with Sasha in some ways. So
yeah,
I wanted them three to be on the same brand for once, because it's never happened before on the main roster. Not since the Shakeup, not since the original draft in 2016.
Right. I didn't know any of this, to be honest, like about the book and stuff. I figured.
Like Charlotte was writing in the book about how like Sasha knew that she was more over, and that probably would have been better for the title to be put on her at one point, but she didn't say anything. But then Charlotte, of course, said something, and she was just like, "Well, it makes more sense to go on me because I need it to make me," and she doesn't. So,
right.
Charlotte is like a politicking bitch, and I feel like Sasha would allow that to get under her skin for sure. I mean, the thing is, like, if the Iconics and Alexa Bliss get under Sasha's skin, Charlotte would definitely drive her to quit.
Yeah, like, here's my thing, too, with all this thing going on with Sasha, since we're already kind of, like, dancing around and kind of, like, talking about it. I lost a lot of respect for Charlotte, like, as a person today. Like, I've already had my, like, criticisms of her, like, in ring, but I thought, as a person, she's living her life, whatever. Because she actually liked Alexa's tweets that I feel like were kind of subtweeting at Sasha with the whole, like, oh, yeah, remember, it's, like, never an alone thing. And I'm like, come on, like, you should know more than anybody how hard Sasha works and how much she's loved this. So, like, keeping those factors in mind, I totally get why you did what you did, because clearly Becky and Bayley have shown themselves today to be like real true ride or die friends to Sasha.
Yeah.
So in a way,
I love that Becky was like super supportive in the most confrontational way possible.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's keeping the gimmick alive, but also letting Sasha know, hey, I got you. I see you, I love you, and all that. So like, I guess I'll just embrace being the heartless corporate bastard here. Like, I'm the Vince McMahon of this shit. Because I'm like, look, Sasha, I know you're happy, but you know what makes me happy? Money.
I mean, you know what, though? In a way, you're almost like going out of your way to get her to quit, which could also be a good thing, because if she goes to fucking AEW and gets that, the equal pay thing and that kind of stuff, like, that could be a good thing, too. So,
yeah, I mean, I'd be like, make me money. And then I'd be like, listen, I'm working a gimmick here. Look, there's the door. Go. Be happy. Go to stardom. Live your life. But no, I guess when I made this list, I didn't want those kind of factors to kind of exert themselves upon my decision making. It was really just like, how do I make a brand that feels at least somewhat fresh while keeping some of the core elements intact? And again, like, how I feel about Charlotte. I do not care for her at all. But I think, and I've said this time and again, and I know you've co-signed onto it, her presentation, the way she's presented to the mass, she's just one of the top people in the fucking division wherever she's at. She's one of the top people in the company, period.
Right. Yeah.
And I just want to, milk that. So no, you were definitely the better of the two of us, though, because you actually had a heart. And I'm just like, let me just make my motherfucking money, and maybe she'll quit, and then I can feel good because she's actually going to a place that appreciates her. But no, like, I love your vision, because I would really love to see Sasha and Charlotte, like, just in your case, again, separated from each other. And I definitely want more Sasha Becky matches. I guess the only reason I didn't factor that in was like, I can wait a little bit longer, because I know I would get Sasha Asuka matches and Sasha Kairi matches under my scheme. So, but I totally get what
and the thing is, like, if Sasha does stick around and she doesn't quit the company, which I know is still a possibility, but if that's the case, Sasha Kairi needs to happen. But the match that I'm dying for is Sasha Io.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yes. Yeah, I even said, because I've been tweeting quite a bit about the Sasha issue, it is a war zone out there, but I even said, like, if she leaves, just want everybody to remember that we're never going to get, I mean, of course, and this is just from my perspective, We're never going to get Sasha Kyrie. We're never going to get Sasha Io, and we're never going to get Boston Hug versus Sky Pirates. Like, WWE robbed us of all of this if this shit happens. Yeah. And so, yeah, like, Sasha Io is definitely on my fucking mind too, dude. So, so what else do you want to kind of run game on? What do you want to talk about?
Well, that was the women. Let's talk about tag teams. So for me, and actually that was really only the women on SmackDown. So let's talk about the women on Raw, because for me, I'm adding Bianca Belair and technically kind of reaffirming Becky Lynch as a Raw personality. So my Raw roster, if we exclude Ronda, because fuck that bitch, I've got Becky at the top, Bayley, Sasha, both still around. I've got the Riot Squad, that's 3. I've got Alexa Bliss and Bianca, and that's like the core. And like obviously you're still gonna have like your fucking Natalias and your Dana Brooks and whatever the hell, but that's the core of my Raw women's division.
Right. Yeah, and I mean I got Becky with her first Raw Women's Championship reign, just like running the fucking show. I mean, yeah like
who would be her first feud for you? Who, I mean, obviously she's got to get through Lacey first, but once she gets through Lacey and Charlotte beats her for the SmackDown Women's title and she's officially like full-time member of Raw, who do you see Becky facing after Lacey Evans?
Well, given that I didn't shake her up, I think I would have actually no, I'll tell you who, because I didn't shake her up either. Ruby Riott and the Riot Squad.
I would love that. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, because, like, here's the thing. I was going to say Bayley, and I would like to see Bayley and Becky interact, because I don't think that's happened too much in their respective careers.
No.
But because of that, though, that makes it more novel, and you want to save that. Like, I can see that. Maybe not at a SummerSlam program, because I'd actually like Ruby and Becky to run SummerSlam. But, hell, maybe a Rumble. Maybe even a Mania. Who knows? But, yeah, Ruby, I think, would be, like, a big, big feud for Becky for the Raw Women's Championship.
Would you have Becky hold that title up to and maybe even through WrestleMania 36, or do you ever drop it before that?
See, Ashley, here's kind of my perspective on that, right? The important thing, and I know we've said this before, and I know you agree with it, she's already a character that, like, the title is of narrative importance because it's representative, it's emblematic of all the opportunities she was denied by the company. But once we got that rocket strapped, there's no need to keep it on her like all the time. Like I know Austin probably never went on a 7-8 month reign with a championship. Right. And so really, as criminal as it may be, because I know I'm not always the biggest fan of this, so it's kind of hypocritical, admittedly, I would have her be a multi-time Raw Women's Champion, but I would have her be doing stuff like outside of that, you know, raising hell. Maybe, you know, the Riot Squad, maybe they're doing something. You know, Becky crashes the party and she raises hell and stuff like that. I want her to be able to be a character first and a champion second. Like, I want it to be where Becky Lynch is our character who also happens to be a champion at the moment. And I think, yeah, I'd give her the big segments, which in turn would raise the stock of the people she's working with, because God knows Ruby deserves better than what she's got. But I would have Ruby, you know, win the title for a hot minute. You know, maybe then Becky would gain it back. I'd have another person maybe win close to the Rumble. I'd have Becky win the Rumble again. I mean, Austin won fucking 3 Rumbles. I don't mind Becky winning another Rumble. Like, I always want her to be on the periphery until the crowd tells me that they no longer want her there. Like, they no longer want her in the conversation. But so long as they do, and so long as she keeps being compelling, the title can go to everybody, because the focus is always, and I would like to do it with a bit more subtlety than what I'm articulating, but the focus is always on Becky. So that's kind of my vision for it. I don't mind her dropping the title. I don't mind her regaining the title. I don't mind her winning 2 more Rumbles. Just, we got to keep her hot until the crowd says, hey, it's cooled down, we're on to the next thing. And I think I'm so passionate about it because, like, she's a female character that's transcended, like, all the history bullshit and all the masturbation and you know, the fucking patting ourselves on the back and all that kind of stuff. And she's become, like, this really identifiable character that I think a lot of people are gravitating towards regardless of gender. Really, the only people bringing up the gender are the people trying to get cheap heat like fucking Lacey Evans right now. You know, and everybody else is just looking at her like, no.
Lacey Evans bring up gender?
Well, she just did make the same jokes that Ronda did, like, oh, it's a woman calling herself the man in that tired shtick, you know? So, like, she's doing that to try and get heat. Becky's showing her how to really work, which is wonderful for all of us.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, she's just a top star, period. I would want to treat her as such, you know? So that's kind of just my vision. So, yeah, Ruby, then Bayley. The problem is, though, and I will admit, maybe my shakeup could have done better for the Raw Women's division in particular. But you figure, if I can only get us through, like, the first calendar year, not so bad. Then obviously Ronda would come back for the rematch, and I would have Becky beat her definitively. I would use the controversy.
Well, and not only that, but after a calendar year, there's going to be another shakeup, so you don't have to worry about it past that.
Exactly. So like Ruby, Bayley, Ronda, I think would just be my tripartite kind of feud structure there for Miss Lynch. And
given that you didn't shake Ember Moon up to SmackDown, what would you have her be doing all that time?
Oh, I think yeah, you could throw her into, again, like I want Becky to work with everybody, and she could even like drop the title here and there, but she's always going to be like a main attraction even without the title. And that's the thing too. Like I could see, say for example, she drops it to Ruby, right? Becky's coming out, and we know we're no longer doing rematch clauses. At least we were for a hot minute until now. We're apparently back on it. She raises hell. And then Ember's like, look, Becky, I respect you and I like that you're making noise, but like, think about me here. I've been injured. I've been out. They can have a number one contenders feud while Ruby has a separate feud with Bayley. That's two feuds going on at once, which I know is like a foreign concept to WWE, but there you go. You have Ember go over, work with Ruby, and then maybe, Alexa is more of a talking personality. Becky does a brief feud there. But really, like, I would want her to keep mentioning Ronda, and I would want to kind of bring Ronda back because that's my big matchup for WrestleMania 36, with Becky definitively going over because, Ronda can make a big stink of, my shoulder was up, whatever. And then Becky just puts her down definitively. And it's like it's wrestling versus MMA, and wrestling triumphs in the form of Becky Lynch. So, yeah, we just got to make the year. And I definitely think we could. It'd be hard, but I definitely think we can make it happen. So that's just kind of my vision.
It gets a little bit easier for me because I kept Sasha on Raw.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So like, I would agree with you that Ruby would be a great kind of first feud after Lacey. But then I would probably like the Lacey feud is probably going to be like a two pay-per-view thing. I'm probably going to have Lacey challenge Becky at both Money in the Bank, and then I think Extreme Rules is what's in July.
Right.
I would have Ruby be the SummerSlam match, and then I would have, oh man, I want like my ultimate end goal is Sasha Becky at WrestleMania. So so you would have to find other things to do in the meantime. The women's champions don't defend their titles at SummerSlam since they do the 5-on-5 matches and the champion versus champion matches. So we wouldn't have to worry about that. TLC, you could have a match. Maybe it's like a triple threat, Becky, Bayley, Bianca. That could be interesting. But then like, I want Becky versus Sasha. And then you could even do and the thing is like, if they really, really needed to do Becky versus Ronda again at WrestleMania and they have Ronda win the Royal Rumble, like I think they will, I want Becky Sasha at the Royal Rumble because the Royal Rumble has become a really good place for undercard matches to steal the show and become early match of the year contenders. So I would want Becky Sasha to be like a big women's match at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, dude, I'd love that. Yeah, that'd be fucking
Plus,
awesome.
then you would kind of remove any hope that Sasha would win the Royal Rumble because she'd be in that second match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, for sure. Absolutely.
Oh. Although, I mean, knowing us, we'd be like, I don't know. Last year, the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble lost the championship match earlier in the night, so maybe it'll happen again this year. So we probably don't help that decision-making process. But yeah. So yeah, on Raw, I would have Becky defend against a whole. We're pretty much the same here. The difference is I kept Sasha, and I really want her to be a big deal. You kept Ember, which is still like that could be a really big deal too. But there's just less history there between her and Becky, which could. Right. Good thing because then it's like a fresher matchup. So yeah, we'll see. So that's the women. Let's talk about tag teams now. For SmackDown, I love my SmackDown tag team division because of the fact that I brought Undisputed Era in. So for my SmackDown tag division, the O'Reilly and Fish are immediately going after the Usos, but they still have New Day. Neither one of us transferred New Day. We kept them on SmackDown. So they still have New Day. They still have Anderson and Gallows if they decide to feature them. They still have, there was another tag team on that roster that I'm just forgetting about right now. Let me actually look it up because I looked up WWE's rosters earlier when I put this stuff together. And there was a tag team on SmackDown that I was like, why are they not using? Oh, Sanity. They can still use Sanity. Like, Sanity is the most underused thing. So, yeah, like the SmackDown tag team division doesn't get that much worse by losing the Usos. Like, the Usos are amazing. And obviously, losing them from any roster would suck. But when you replace the Usos with an act like O'Reilly and Fish and the talking prowess of Adam Cole as their mouthpiece, like, maybe you're not skipping that much of a beat, you know?
Yeah, I mean, dude, since we're talking tag teams, and the only tag team I really shook up was the Revival. I mean, it's so fucking easy for me too, because even the pieces that SmackDown currently has in play, they have Sanity, they have the Usos. Because I can tell you right now, my first few big ripples are Usos continue a feud with the Hardys, and then we go from Usos Hardys to Usos Revival. So like 2 dream tag team feuds back to back. Then we'd cool down a little bit, and we would do, say, fucking Revival versus a babyface, and just as themselves, I wouldn't want to fucking gimmick them up like last time, versus a babyface Primo and Epico. I would get those guys back on TV. I think them working a babyface luchador style against the Revival would make for some great fucking matches if given time. Then we go from that. Maybe even Primo and Epico win the titles at one point just to give the Revival a break, and they can go back to feuding with either the Usos or just feuding with the Hardys. You know, past versus people that romanticize the past but bring it forward and repackage it in the present for #1 contendership. And you could do the Colognes versus, you know, maybe Usos in a one-off, but their big tag team program would be against Sanity as heels. So yeah, like I look at the SmackDown tag scene as it is, and just me putting Revival on there, and I think it's got all the pieces there. You just gotta freaking use it. And also, let's not forget too, a team that I didn't even mention. God damn, because they beat this team in their debut, and then the injuries happened. We could do a full-blown Revival New Day program, because I didn't touch the New Day. So that's another big program you could do. Yeah, for me, I think where the ingenuity of my SmackDown tag scene lies is I did pretty much like addition by subtraction as far as Raw is concerned, because I took away Revival from Raw, I put them on SmackDown, and I didn't really have to change anything else. So, because all the pieces are there, they just got to be used. I mean, a babyface Primo and Epico, yes. Heel Sanity, yes. Hardys, already there. Usos, already there and established. New Day, same thing. You got a robust tag division there that can more than carry us to the next shakeup. So, yeah, pretty easy, straightforward scheme for me. Far more than my women, admittedly. But, yeah, my tag team scene on SmackDown, I got that shit on lock.
Yeah, and then for Raw, I mean, we do. I kind of already touched on this earlier because we've got I personally am keeping the Revival on Raw. So immediately we have the Revival and the Usos on the same brand. We got to get that out of the way. And then we've also got Ryder and Hawkins as the champions. You've got returning teams like Breezango, or I guess you could just call them the Fashion Police, and AOP, who are already on Raw. So I think that the Raw tag division, it really kind of stands to be bulked up when we get some returns from injury, with the addition of the Usos as well. And plus, I'm also keeping Ricochet and Black on Raw. So even if I don't necessarily plan on keeping them together for long, they still contribute to the tag team division, and they're the perfect bridge so that they can kind of be a tag team until Fashion Police and AOP are back healthy. Then we can break up Black and Ricochet.
Yeah, I get that, man. Makes sense to me. So yeah, I love kind of your tag team vision. What else do you want to talk about? So we did women, we did tag team.
What about you? What are we doing with your Raw tag division? Or are you just going to kind of like brush that to the side since that's what they've done for the last few months?
I mean, with the Raw tag scene, it's pretty much going to be run by like Undisputed Era. Let me just check the Raw scene currently for the tag teams that they have, because I know I took away the Revival, which was a big thing. I mean, pretty much it would almost be like a copy paste of like a lot of their NXT stuff, because I know Undisputed Era worked with Heavy Machinery. They would do that again, since Heavy Machinery, we agreed, would be a Raw team in our agreement there. I had Ricochet on SmackDown and Aleister on Raw, so I did break them up, which, by the way, Aleister would be a Universal Champion, and Ricochet, I'd give him a bit more time for his first world title than Aleister, but they both get to the same place, just at a bit of a slower pace. You could do Major Brothers. I will admit, my Raw tag team scene is pretty weak, because I would want Undisputed Era to just go through. But you know what? That weakness, I think, could be a strength, because I would have Undisputed Era beat Heavy Machinery, beat...
Heavy Machinery. We agreed to keep them on Raw, too. So that's a team added to the division.
I would have them beat fucking Fashion Police. I would have them beat like a babyface and renewed Ascension. I would try and make Ascension as much of... like fucking War Raiders light as I possibly could, just, you know, this dominant, destructive team. And I would have them go the whole year as like Raw Tag Team Champions, being like, you know what, we tried to elevate this division, but as great as the Undisputed Era is, even we can't work miracles, and they're just burying the current division, right? Because it was just so freaking easy. And then for the next shakeup, War Raiders music hits.
Ah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
So,
I love that you're even planning out to the next shakeup. Brilliant, man.
so, like, yeah, I think the very weakness of my Raw tag division, and this is why I should have been a bullshitter for a living, is actually the strength. Because long term, you can use it as a narrative device. Like, this is just too damn easy. Like, we are
You know,
quite.
they have a name for those.
What's that?
They're
Oh,
called lawyers.
politicians. Oh, lawyers. Politicians, I think.
Politicians works too, though, to be fair. It could have been worked either way.
Yeah, but yeah, I do think I can turn the weakness into a strength narratively for like long term. And also, we could even do some makeshift teams, and that could even be a thing. Like, you know, we've beaten all these teams, so we want to do something called the Strange Bedfellow Invitational. Two guys, if you've got nothing else going on and you would like a shot at tag team gold, come together and let's get some new combinations here because we're getting bored. And you could do things like,
and they would announce it on social media so that it makes sense why these guys actually are like a team by the time Raw comes around, because they talked about it ahead of time.
Exactly. Like, you could do a team like, for example, No Way Jose versus and Rhino together is just a thing. And again, it's just still so fucking
Didn't Rhino technically retire? I thought I saw he got moved to the alumni section.
He's still in the Raw section for me from what I'm looking at, because I'm looking.
Are you on the WWE.com roster? Because I thought he was in the move to the alumni section.
No, I'm looking right at the Raw roster specifically, and I can even look at it. And I'm looking right at Rhino. Is he also an alumni? Let me see, because he's on Raw. So if that's the case, that's on them, not me, because I'm just going by what they have listed.
Are you looking on? Are you on Wikipedia?
No, I'm on WWE.com, like on their Raw roster page.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw something that Rhino got moved to the alumni section. Okay.
No, he hasn't been moved yet. So as far as I'm concerned, it's still a valid move for me.
All right. Yeah, there you go.
Rhino and No Way Jose, which, I mean, Rhino does well with other comedy wrestlers. You know, No Way Jose could be doing his conga line, and you know, it's
dude,
whatever.
I was legitimately like, I had No Way Jose's name typed out to move to SmackDown, and I was just like, you know what? I don't think he would do that much better on SmackDown. Why even bother at that point? That's just a waste of a move.
I mean, if you're talking about like people being dicks, because you said you would want Sheamus to be the biggest dick. Like, I know the context that you said it, like, you know, brief main event run, stuff like that. You could put him and fucking Baron Corbin together, just the two douchebags going for the title, because maybe Sheamus is missing Cesaro. Maybe he's even having kind of like a crisis, like, oh shit, he really was the star of the team. I need to get my career back on track. And he answers the challenge. Yeah, like, you could do fun stuff, but we would just, again, have to make it through the year. Then you have War Raiders come up, and maybe even a few other teams, but that's like the big headliner. And then Undisputed Era is like, oh shit, we're being exposed here. Like, it's these fucking guys that beat us for our NXT tag titles. And it all comes full circle. So that would probably be my Raw tag scene. I will readily admit it's weak as hell, but I kind of got that ECW mentality where, yeah, we got a lot of guys that are shit, but if we can just work the crowd into thinking that they're not, that's a win for us. So there you go.
All right, let's talk mid card. Let's talk SmackDown mid card. I know we both have Murphy and Gable and Balor all on their way to SmackDown Live, so that right there immediately kind of buffs up the mid card. But we're also losing some guys, because like for you, you're losing, you know, Samoa Joe, Randy Orton, Sheamus, Harper, and for me, I'm losing Samoa Joe, Nakamura, Sheamus as well, Ali. So we're both losing some guys. We're both gaining some guys. I'm curious what you think about your mid card, and if you want to kind of bleed it into guys that you could see as potential main eventers, talk about that too.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you. Like, it's funny how you said like Gable would be kind of your mechanic. You know, because wait, are you saying we're talking Raw now, right?
No. We're talking SmackDown.
Okay, we're talking SmackDown. Sorry, I kind of got lost there for a second. Gable would be a mechanic for you. It still works, though, me opening with that statement, because Gable is on SmackDown for me. I do see something similar, like him and Murphy would just have clinics for like 2 to 3 months over the, it would be the Intercontinental Championship, like, and maybe it would even start as a triple threat, you know, Balor, Gable, Murphy. Gable pins Balor. Balor's kind of out of the conversation, so he can be elevated to the main event. And it's just Gable, Murphy. And then Murphy would be Intercontinental Champion, and he would be a freaking, you know, hot Intercontinental Champion. But ultimately, though, I would have, because I do want to rehabilitate Drew McIntyre, I would have McIntyre beat Murphy down the road for it and kind of come full circle for him, because his very first title when he was the chosen one in WWE was the Intercontinental Championship. So he can even win it, and we could even kind of see hints of like a babyface turn a little bit. You know, just being like, I'm gonna do right by the title this time. I don't need Vince McMahon to be a great Intercontinental Champion because I'm Drew McIntyre. Goes, tears the house down, and then I would have him lose it. It's funny that like my whole mid card scene is just right on this fucking list. I would have him lose it via cheaty means to Elias on his road to the main title. So really, my plan for the Intercontinental Championship is to restore it to its former glory if you're Intercontinental Champion, that's me kind of giving you and hopefully the audience, when they catch on to the pattern, the nod that you're probably going to be a future world champion, prohibiting like any accident, any personal screw up, whatever, because I see that in you, that you could carry the brand either for a year, a few months, or maybe like a sprint or whatever. So I want to return the Intercontinental title to that stepping stone status that I don't think it's really had definitively for a long fucking time.
And that can work so much better, I think, on SmackDown than for Raw, because for Raw, like, you have guys that you can imagine winning the Intercontinental title that you can just never imagine with the Universal title. But with SmackDown, I feel like it's much more of an open field. Like, if you win the Intercontinental title, there's no reason to believe you can't win the WWE title as well. Like, if we've got guys like smaller guys like Bryan and Kofi holding the WWE title, and guys with very little credibility like Jinder Mahal having held it before, there isn't a single name to me on the Raw roster that you couldn't convince me is a potential WWE champion, or on the SmackDown roster, I should say, is a champion. Like, I was even thinking about moving Mojo Rawley to SmackDown with all these vignettes he's been having. It wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to put the damn title on him because of Gronk wanting to get into the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if you could put the title on Jinder Mahal, I would not be happy about it, but I would not blink an eye at them putting the damn WWE title on Mojo Rawley either.
To be honest, I'm shocked that they didn't do it the whole time that he was on SmackDown, because we even said, like, if Jinder could win the championship, how long before Mojo gets his run? Yeah. So, yeah, man, I completely understand where you're coming from there.
I mean, after all, didn't Mojo, isn't Mojo the one that won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal a couple years ago anyway?
Yes, he is.
So they've given him that over Jinder. Yeah, so it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I got nothing more to say than that. I think, you really killed it again. So I guess we'll just talk about Raw mid-card now.
Yeah, I haven't really talked about my SmackDown mid-card, have I?
Oh, no, keep going. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about, like, the fact that I've now got all 4 members of the Undisputed Era, so, like, at any point, if they're not competing for other titles, whoever's left can just go after the mid-card title. Like, if Roderick Strong wants to go after the mid-card title, or if like Adam Cole wants to take a break from owning the universe and beating everyone else on the main roster in the main event, he can go after the Intercontinental title. If O'Reilly and Fish fail at their bid for the tag titles, which they wouldn't, but if they, in some alternate universe where they do, Kyle O'Reilly could go after the Intercontinental title. There's a lot that you could do there. Plus, then you've also got, like, Andrade is still on SmackDown. Like, he's fucking incredible. Aiden English is still on SmackDown, and I'm not as impressed by him, but he could still be a potential mid-card champion at some point. All 3 members of the New Day, including Kofi. Like, Kofi is the WWE champion right now, but I don't expect him to hold it, until next year's Shakeup. So if they wanted to send him after the Intercontinental title, or Big E or X, any of the 3, or even all of the 3, you could do a damn 4-way with the 3 of them and the champion. Cesaro is now a member of the SmackDown mid-card by himself for both of us, because we're both sending Sheamus over to Raw. So Cesaro is a potential mid-card to main event player. I've also kept Harper on SmackDown because I want him to be that upper main event, or upper mid-card to potential main event kind of guy. The Hardy Boys both are potential mid-card performers if they're not in the tag team title division right away. All 3 members of Sanity, you could say the same thing about. The Miz is still on SmackDown for me, and you too. R-Truth is still there. Orton's still there for me. Mysterio is still there. Joe switched. Never mind. Rusev is still there though, because I sent Nakamura over to Raw. So Shelton Benjamin's still there, and then of course the additions that we both have in Chad Gable and Buddy Murphy and Finn Balor. So, like, and there really is, like, it's just a gigantic mid-card for me over on SmackDown. And, like, I would say, like, 80% of the men's singles competitors are mid-carders for me, like 80 to 85%.
Right.
The main event is really just, like, which of those mid-carders is challenging for the world title this week? Or, you know what I mean? Like this.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And, like, I would even include Drew in that, because, like, if they wanted to put an Intercontinental title on Drew because they're not ready to pull the trigger on him as WWE champion yet, or they wanted to be like that launching pad where they put the Intercontinental title, like, I could see Drew demolishing Finn Balor at Money in the Bank, winning the Intercontinental title, holding it for a few months, dropping it, and then getting the catapult, getting the rocket strap, and going for the WWE title afterwards. Like, that would make perfect sense to me. So, like, for all of these guys, they're all at least mid-carders with the potential to be main eventers on SmackDown Live, because of how SmackDown Live feels such an open field.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I love that vision. That's great.
All
All
right.
right.
Now we can get over to Raw. And for Raw, it's similar, but for like the wrong reasons. Because for Raw, it's like all these guys are mid-carders because there's no way they're ever going to win the Universal title. You know?
Yeah.
Like with SmackDown, they're all mid-carders with the potential to win the WWE title. On Raw, they're all mid-carders because they'll never win the Universal title.
I mean, to me, since we're
What
talking,
about Elias? You would have Elias be more of a main eventer on SmackDown, right?
yeah, I would have him have like a brief flirtation with the Intercontinental Championship again, just to really more kind of signal more broadly that, yeah, this guy's a future WWE champion. It's just a question of when.
All right.
With
Well,
Raw,
let's get back to talking about the Raw mid-card now.
yeah, with Raw, it's so fucking difficult because, like,
I mean, you already have Harper, Sheamus, Orton, and Joe, and the Undisputed Era on Raw as like mid to upper mid, maybe potential main event guys.
yeah, like that's not the problem. Like the performers, like that's not the problem. I could even have some guys because I agree with Al Snow. That one shoot interview you showed me with Snow, I thought was fantastic stuff. Where he's like, you know, guys are like a revolving door. If you're on top and your momentum cools, like you go back down to the bottom, you work your way back up again.
Yeah.
So I could even see like Brian, dude, fucking Brian with his platform being like, I'm champion of the second most carbon emission producing nation on this earth, because I think China's still number one. And like this belt disgusts me because it was made of leather and it represents just gorging yourself on meat and a keto diet. Are you kidding? We're making a diet out of eating meat and just like just raging against everything. So he'd make a great US champion. My problem is more thematic in nature because I've never understood what WWE wants the United States Championship to be. And what I mean by that is you've had open challenges. Okay, so maybe you do want it to be kind of like a workhorse title where you showcase these amazing performers. Like I still remember Cesaro and Cena's series of matches and Cena and Owens. Maybe you want it to be like a narrative enhancer, like when Rusev as an anti-American gimmick was U.S. champion. So I would want to clearly define what the U.S. title is. And honestly, whereas I look at the Intercontinental title as kind of a worker title, I could see the U.S. title as more character driven and more promo driven. Like Joe is amazing at promos, which is why I think he's the perfect U.S. champion for my vision for the title. Harper, I've already told you, I think there's a character in there that's understated, and I would want to bring that out more. And of course, he's still going to have like solid matches. Brian is the best character in this company. Fucking fight me. Like, this dude is fucking gold. That's why I would have him even have a brief flirtation. Because again, first championship he won, the U.S. title. You know, the old Daniel Bryan, when he first won this, he was so proud of it because he felt like he belonged and he earned all of your respect. But the new Daniel Bryan wearing this title now, it feels disgusting. It feels like I put on a fur coat. It doesn't feel natural at all, but I'm going to fix it. Just like I'm going to fix this country and then I'm going to fix the world. And it could just be a complete 180 to the Bryan that won the U.S. title the first time. Like, this would be the championship for promos and characters. I'd have Joe hold on to it for like a few more months. Maybe he even loses it to Harper in a kind of upset. Who else do I even have on here? Sheamus. Honestly, this is going to seem crazy because we've had like two kind of different visions for Sheamus. I would almost want to give him another face run, but here's the thing. Sheamus is at his best when he's not afraid to make fun of himself. Like, this might be an unpopular opinion, but when they did the rap battle with the Usos, like the whole ice shamey thing, like I was in fucking stitches because it's like, this is so cringe, but in the best possible way because it's a heel act. And who could ever forget when he's coming out with the New Day that 1 year at Survivor Series? That's right, my brothers. We're going to get jiggy on these posers. Am I right? Like, Sheamus just being that Wonder Bread, fucking bulked up kind of heel, a guy that could kick your ass when you laugh at him, but you can't help but laugh at him because he's just so ridiculous. That would be a great character for the U.S. title to me.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm looking at it. Intercontinental title is the workhorse title. The U.S. title is where characters come to play. And if they happen to be in-ring workers, that's purely incidental. because I'm focusing more on people that can talk things up, and it can even be like a sly slight at the U.S. because we're run by a bunch of fucking polished orators. You know, they got the rhetoric but none of the substance, and so I've got all these talkers as like our best U.S. champions. So that's kind of my vision for the U.S. title.
And you know what, dude? I'm even gonna add in there. I could have Elias be competing for the U.S. title too, because I never sent him over to SmackDown.
Yeah, for sure. I just, to really speak about it in broad brushstroke terms, it's the character championship is kind of my vision for the mid card. So that's me. I'm gonna volley it back to you, man, for your run.
Yeah, I mean, I would have Ali and Sheamus and Nakamura and Joe, and also like flirtations with Styles as far as mid card goes on Raw.
Yeah.
And as far as people that are still there that would be there, it would be like Corbin and Lashley and Bobby Roode as a solo act. Strowman, obviously already flirting with the U.S. title since he, came after Joe on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt is still on Raw, and he would be definitely a contender for the U.S. title. Excuse me. Ziggler is still on Raw. Elias is still on Raw as far as my list goes. We've still got, Jinder, unfortunately, but he's a definite potential, U.S. champion, and it kind of works for his character. No Way Jose, maybe even. Roman Reigns has held the U.S. title in recent years. Sami Zayn, hell yes. Sami Zayn, honestly, could even be a Universal champion with the current character that he has, I think.
Oh, dude.
I wouldn't want him to win it over Daniel Bryan. But imagine a Monday Night Raw with Universal champion Daniel Bryan and United States champion Sami Zayn opening and closing every show with their amazing speeches.
Yes, dude. Absolutely.
So good. And then, I guess that's about it for the mid card for me. And there's just a lot of people that would be contending for that title. And hopefully there would be a lot of people that just kind of have like personal beefs that would be able to play out on TV. Because I feel like we don't see that enough.
No, we don't, for sure.
I feel like they do that too much with the women and not enough with the men.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I completely agree with you.
All right, man. Well, I guess that the only thing left to talk about is our main event scenes. So if you want to start with SmackDown Live, what I really would like to do here is get specific and specifically say like who. Obviously, we know who the current champions are. On SmackDown Live, the WWE champion is Kofi Kingston. On Raw, the Universal champion is Seth Rollins. What path do those respective titles take between now and next year's shakeup? I want you to go through the WWE title first, then I will. Then you go through the Universal title, then I will.
I'd say I have Drew McIntyre beating Kofi relatively quickly, like into their feud, maybe even like the first pay-per-view bout. Kofi, New Day rallies for him to get a rematch because they know how hard it was for Kofi to get the initial opportunity. Drew wins again. That's whatever. We kind of relegate Kofi back to the mid-card, maybe even does a little bit with Finn Balor because the idea of Kofi and Balor matches, that kind of excites me. McIntyre then, look, we can't put Roman Reigns off forever, so let's fucking do it. Roman McIntyre, maybe Drew cheats to win the first matchup, but we all know eventually that Roman is going to win the championship. He does. You notice I'm not giving specific dates because I suck at that. I suck at like being put on timetables. So I'm just speaking in very broad terms here. Finn by this point would have dropped the Intercontinental Championship. I'm just trying to think because I'd love if Money in the Bank was actually like a bit later in this case. Like I'm excited like in real time that it's next month, but in fantasy booking, I wish that it was like a bit later because I would have Finn have some kind of mechanism like a Money in the Bank or something where he gets a future title shot against Roman. So let's say that he does, right? Let's say he wins a Battle Royal or something, or wins a number one contendership match. I would actually have Finn go heel. I would have him rejoin Anderson and Gallows because I think they are on SmackDown. They are on SmackDown. I remember that. I would be using them a lot more. Like I would sit them down and I'd be like, look, guys, I know you're probably eyeing New Japan. What if we really did a serious club run? And they're like, okay. I'm like, okay, the plan is to make Finn heel and we'll give you guys tag titles at one point. You'll fucking run with them. So Finn cheats to beat Roman, and him and Roman have a lot of history that you can play on because Finn beat Roman in his debut. And then Roman got his win back, and he also gave Finn his Universal Championship rematch, all that stuff. So Finn beats Roman as a heel. He ultimately wins the feud. I think that's important. You know, it's one thing for Roman to be our top guy, but I hate how we make this association. Top guy equals invulnerable. I think that's so dangerous and pernicious. I would have Roman lose the feud, relegate him a little bit, work for maybe the Intercontinental Championship, you know, whatever. My big feud circling all the way back around is a babyface Drew McIntyre on kind of a redemption arc, beating the club, and specifically beating Finn for the WWE Championship. That would be WrestleMania 36.
Nice.
So, like, beats Roman, loses to Roman, has had time to reflect. He sees how Finn, you know, won the title and now he's keeping it. And kind of standing on the outside looking at somebody else's behavior, he's like, well, wait a minute. You know, I look like how I do. I don't need to cheat. I worked so hard to get here, because he kind of reflects on his own path, you know, PWG and Impact and Evolve and all that. And he said, you know, Finn, you took a similar path I did. And yet when it mattered most, like, you know, you took a freaking shortcut. And I know I did too, but I want to make right. Just like I know you used to care about these people and everything. You do a big angle. You have Drew get his WrestleMania moment, being crowned to WrestleMania 36. And then we go on a monster babyface run for Drew. So that's really my main event scene. Again, just working in broad brushstrokes here. So
I love it, man. I love it. So I think for me, gosh, it's kind of more difficult just because Kofi is at the top right now, and it's like kind of a pick your poison as far as who I want to beat him for the title, because it's like whoever beats him just gets so much heat immediately.
Yeah.
Like, I already know where my end game is. I want Adam Cole to be the WWE champion, and I want Drew to be the challenger at WrestleMania as a babyface. But I don't want to put the title on Adam Cole immediately, because I'm not trying to have Adam Cole go on a 10-month title reign. As wonderful as that would be, I don't think it's necessary. I want Adam Cole to win the title at, like, Survivor Series, maybe, like somewhere around there. Survivor Series, TLC, Royal Rumble, somewhere in that range, so that he can hold the title for, like, you know, 3 to 6 months and drop it at Mania to Drew as like a crowning moment for Drew.
Right.
But now I just got to figure out what I want to do with the title between now and then. And I've taken a lot of people off of SmackDown. You know what? I think that my first challenger, because we already know the WWE Championship isn't going to main event any pay-per-views, because the Universal title is actually going to be defended at every pay-per-view now. So there's no reason to even consider the WWE title main eventing, because it's the SmackDown title, and Vince sees SmackDown as less important than Raw. So I think I'm going to kind of take some liberties here, and I'm going to have Buddy Murphy be the first challenger for Kofi Kingston's WWE title in May, I guess, for Money in the Bank.
All right. I like that.
So we're gonna do Murphy versus Kofi immediately. Just because, like, I really like, if they're gonna call it Murphy, which obviously in my fantasy booking they are, I'm just immediately having Murphy go after the top guy. Like, just Murphy just comes in and immediately he's just like, I was the biggest fish in that small pond, and I think that I'm still the biggest fish here. So I'm going after the toughest guy in the room. I'm going after the WWE champion, Kofi. That happens to be you. And, like, we would be able to suspend our disbelief. We would be like, God, like, it would be a difficult question to answer at Money in the Bank preview predictions. Like, who wins? Are they going to pull the trigger and have Murphy be the top guy because, like, the Kenny Omega comparisons just don't stop, and AEW is literally about to be a thing, like, really soon? Like, are they going to do this now, and they're going to just, like, put a Kenny Omega type performer in front of the world before Kenny gets to be on American television? Like, are they really going to do that?
Yeah.
And then, like, I would have Kofi retain there, but then at the next pay-per-view, Extreme Rules, I would do what I think WWE's already going to do. I'd put the title on Shane. I would have Shane McFucking-Man win the WWE Championship at Extreme Rules, but then I would have him drop it very quickly at SummerSlam. I would have him drop it at SummerSlam to just a different babyface. Like, maybe he drops it to Finn. Finn would be perfect. He drops it to Finn Balor, and then come TLC, we have Adam Cole take the title off of Finn so that Drew can take it off of him at Mania.
Yeah, I love that idea, dude. That sounds fucking great to me.
So we're gonna keep the title on Kofi through a Buddy Murphy defense, but we're gonna get Kofi's gonna drop the title to Shane. And then Shane is going to drop the title to Balor, because SummerSlam was also kind of feels like Finn Balor's thing. Like it's a Finn Balor pay-per-view, kind of like the way it's always been like a Randy Orton pay-per-view. SummerSlam is starting to feel like Finn Balor's big pay-per-view, because he brought out the Demon this past year to beat Corbin. His first ever SummerSlam, he won the Universal title. Like SummerSlam is Finn Balor's show. So having him win the WWE title from Shane on this year's SummerSlam would be pretty perfect.
Yeah, I fucking love that idea. That's great.
Yeah. And in the meanwhile, I would have him drop the Intercontinental title to probably like Chad Gable or maybe a member of the Undisputed Era.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Roderick would make sense. Like if I'm going to have him drop it to any member of the Undisputed Era, it would be strong. So that would be as far as what Finn does on the pay-per-views leading up to SummerSlam before he wins the WWE title. So then, yeah, Finn holds the WWE title from SummerSlam to TLC. Adam Cole beats him at TLC in a match where we can protect Finn, because obviously it's going to be like a table or a ladder or whatever. And then, yeah, Adam Cole holds the title for the 4 months between TLC and WrestleMania and drops it to Drew McIntyre, a white-hot babyface Drew McIntyre.
Love it, man. Fucking beautiful.
And yeah, I mean, I'm sure we would have to fit Andrade into Finn Balor's Intercontinental title defense run before he drops it. And maybe Andrade would even be the one to take it off of him, because I haven't really decided fully who would take the title off of him, but it could be Andrade, it could be Roderick Strong, it could be Chad Gable. There are just so many options that it really is like up in the air. So yeah, I can't keep forgetting about Andrade, because that's what WWE has done, and it's causing me to do it too, and I hate that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. So all right, man, let's talk about the Universal title. What do you think? What do you have Seth doing?
Oh boy. Okay. So let's take a look at this here, and let's try and be sensible about this. Emphasis on try. Well, you know what, honestly, not that hard. I'd have fucking Brian beat Seth Ford immediately.
At Money in the Bank, same.
Yeah. I'd have Brian go on a monster run. Honestly, I would do something in the midst of that run, because again, me speaking in broad brushstrokes has been immensely helpful to me. It makes it easier to talk about. I would do something that WWE has not yet done, so you get some novelty out of it. I would turn Joe face after he drops the U.S. title, and I would have him make a brief run for Brian, being like, you know what? I love putting people to sleep, and I love shutting their mouths, and you got the biggest mouth in the building, so I want to put you to sleep now. And we do a Brian Joe program for the Universal title for maybe like 1-2 pay-per-views, with, again, Joe as a babyface, which has not yet been done on the main roster. And I think I've seen his face stuff in TNA. He has the same fire that he does as a heel. It works. You give him a mic, he'll make it fucking work. I'm not worried about Joe in the slightest. See, difficulty here really comes with, and then maybe I'd have Seth like circle back around, get another opportunity. Whether he wins or not, I don't think I'd have him win. Let me just look at the Raw roster very quickly and see who I have left. Because ultimately, right, my big plan is to have a babyface beat Brian, but then for Adam Cole to beat that babyface. But I just got to think about what babyface that would be. So hold on a second. Let me just look at who we've got available here.
Would Harper be a babyface that you'd consider there?
I'd potentially consider it, because Brian is a...
I'm kind of surprised you didn't shake up Kevin Owens over to Raw as a babyface.
Yeah, I really like Sammy as a heel there, and I wanted to keep them apart for a minute. So,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Wow, Raw, your main event scene is like paper thin.
Really, it's pretty rough. I mean, that's why I transferred so many main event guys from SmackDown, though.
Yeah.
Roman.
Roman I got on SmackDown. You know what? Oh, I got it.
Oh, that's right. You did put Roman on SmackDown. Shit, I forgot about that.
I got it, because he's currently listed on Raw, and he's going to get repackaged. Fucking Bray Wyatt could
there you go.
Brian. Beat Brian.
I mean, we already know how great they are in the ring together.
Yeah. Then just follow me with this here, because I don't blame you guys for just wanting to shoot me on the spot here. I would redo the Bray Orton story. I'd keep it a lot more straightforward, though. It got way too fucking convoluted, and I'd have Bray go over. I'd have Bray go over Brian. I'd have Bray go over Orton, and I'd really make him look strong until Undisputed Era shows up. And, Adam Cole is just like, look, Bray, it's cool and all that you're Universal Champion, but there's only one person capable of carrying the universe on their shoulders, and that's Adam Cole, baby. And him and Undisputed Era just fucking maul his ass. And they beat him, and we get that. And then, you know, I think I'd have Seth win a chamber match because he already won Rumble this year. I don't want to do 2 Rumbles in a row for Seth. I think I'd have him win a chamber match, and a big WrestleMania 36 match there would be Seth versus Adam Cole for the Universal Championship. You know, can Seth regain it 1 year later from when he first won it at WrestleMania 35? Can Seth bring it all full circle? Adam Cole and his amazing jawline says no, but we'd have the match to find out. So, yeah, I think Adam Cole and Seth Rollins would be my big main event plan for Mania. Because, again, Rollins is, like, top guy material, and I would want to keep him in that conversation.
Yeah.
And just looking around, I really don't see anybody else that I would get really psyched about. Like, oh, I want them to share a ring with Adam Cole. Unless Sammy, the only exception would be if Sammy, like, went on some kind of arc in the meantime, and he went back to being a babyface. And, like, it would just be him and Cole at WrestleMania. That's the only alternative. But I think I really like Sammy as a heel. And so I would just go Adam Cole and Seth, and then I'd have maybe Seth even go over because, you know, babyfaces, WrestleMania, all that stuff. It seemed to work really well for 35. And then, you know, my first big feud there would be Seth, Sami Zayn. So, yeah, there you go. What about your main event scene? What do you got?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I kind of transferred a lot of the SmackDown main event scene just over to Raw. I've got Daniel Bryan, I've got AJ Styles, and then just kind of as like backups, I've got Joe, Nakamura, and Sheamus coming over from SmackDown. Immediately, though, I agree with you. I immediately am sending Bryan to the top, having him win the Universal title, having him turn it into a hemp belt. He's just going to be the man. And I would have him hold that until at minimum, at the earliest, I would not want him to drop that title any earlier than the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Like straight up 8-month reign minimum. Bryan is the best thing going in WWE right now with this new Daniel Bryan gimmick. Let Rowan help him win matches. Let him do low blows. Let him rake eyes. Let him do whatever it takes to keep that title around his waist. And he's going to fend off all attackers, everyone. Styles comes after him, 2-3 pay-per-view program. Nakamura comes after him, 2 pay-per-view program. Sheamus might even be the one to take the title off of him in January. Maybe by then he'd even be turned face organically because of how fucking good he is. That's the kind of run that I expect for Bryan. Hell, I would even have Ali go after him for a one pay-per-view kind of one-off thing where Bryan would make Ali look incredible and still beat him. But that would be like one of the few instances where he doesn't have to cheat to win. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
That Ali is a mid-carder, but he has this ability that makes him able to give Bryan a run for his money. So Bryan is the absolute star of the show as far as I'm concerned. He is going to be running things at the top of Monday Night Raw for months. He is going to be opening and closing a bunch of shows. He's going to be the man. And honestly, knowing Raw, if I gave them this roster, they would just have Roman take the title off him at like SummerSlam. If they're going to take Roman, if they're going to have Roman that get another fucking crowning at WrestleMania, nobody is more likely to get him cheered than heel Daniel Bryan right now.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I completely agree with you. Yeah.
So I really like Bryan. To me, is the savior that Monday Night Raw needs. And then like even once he gets past AJ Styles is the savior that Raw's mid-card needs right now. Seriously, like. And plus, this gives us an opportunity because I have Bryan and Nakamura on the same brand. We can get them. They can finally have their match that Nakamura literally came to the WWE for.
Yeah, dude. Yes. I actually almost forgot that because of how horribly they've handled Nakamura, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yes, we need to do that. I feel the need, like, this hasn't even happened, and I feel the need to, like, break the glass and just press the button over and over until it happens.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. That's got me excited. Yeah. Good shit, man. Good shit.
All right. Well, I think that's about all that we've got. We've gone for almost 2 hours. It took about an hour to do the actual mock, and it's taken almost another hour for us to kind of explain the directions that we would be going.
Yeah, man. I really liked our list this time around. I think we actually did clear the bar that I said at the beginning, that I feel like this is one of our best shakeup videos ever, if not the best. Just with how, straightforward and everything it was. I really like this on both sides. So, great stuff. I want to thank everybody that came out to join us to listen to this, including Deluxe, man. Really cool that he spent some time with us here on this. So, greatly appreciated. Leave a like if you haven't. And what is our next video? Do we have anything coming up on Saturday? I mean, Sunday is going to be
nothing Saturday, but Sunday night we're going to be doing a discussion on the first episode of season 8 of Game of Thrones, and then of course Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we're live reacting to the Superstar Shakeup, Raw, SmackDown, and then also we're going to be reacting to NXT next week as well.
Absolutely. So guys, have a happy Saturday. Thanks again for joining us, and I'm going to hand it over to Ashton to take us home properly.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, we do hope that you enjoyed our mock Superstar Shakeup. If you have anything that you would like to add, or maybe even tell us who you would like to see shaken up from one show to another, please let us know in the comments when this is fully properly processed. You can also like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, click the bell icon to get the notifications, join the notification squad. And of course, then you can also follow us both on Twitter, like our Facebook page, buy our merch on Teespring, donate to the Patreon, and share this video and this channel with all of your wrestling fan friends and let them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube wrestling community. That's right. We are TWitWoW, and we are the workhorses of the YWC. And we have got a lot of content coming your way. Sunday, Game of Thrones discussion. Monday, Superstar Shakeup on Raw live reactions. Tuesday, Superstar Shakeup on SmackDown live reactions. Wednesday, NXT live reactions. Thursday, oh God, what do we have planned for Thursday? We have it's the Worlds Collide, NXT versus NXT alumni live reactions. So all kinds of stuff coming at you this coming week, and then we next week we're also going to be doing the Game of Thrones thing, and then we're going to be live reacting to SmackDown, and then on Wednesday, not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, the 24th, we're gonna also probably be reacting to NXT that day too, but then we're gonna be reacting to Women Collide, which comes on immediately after NXT, and then that following Thursday, the 25th of this month, it's a triple header, folks. Thursday, April 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we're gonna be live reacting to Over the Top Wrestling's Flipping Assassins show. Then at 6, that's right, an hour earlier than usual, at 6, we're doing our April Q&A, and then at 8:30 we go live to live react and discuss the NFL draft's first round. I can't fucking wait. I can't believe we're already 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, not even 13 days. So excited. But of course, guys, it's all coming up in the next 2 weeks. So we hope that you all remember to stay tuned.